My life under Erdogan, I cannot take it anymore.
My life under Erdogan woke up the political interests of Turkey in me.
I'm not gonna say my life under Erdogan, I'm gonna say my life against Erdogan.
My life in Turkey under Erdogan is like living with your parents.
My life under Erdogan is more tense than before.
My life under Erdogan does not exist for me.
Okay, my life under Erdogan is one big political protest.
It was about shopping malls, because in Turkey there's there's an ongoing construction craze. They're trying to build a lot of shopping malls and residential areas that are not going to be used.
The fact that we can actually talk about this, even though he has been re-elected with a significant majority, is very much thanks to that kind of sort of the barrier, the fear barrier being sort of somehow thrown away by a very young group of people, which were fantastic. I mean, I think that was the 14 days of bliss of very young, sort of all my students were there, and sort of I was going there, and sort of, and they were all, sort of really enjoying themselves in the fact that they've actually sort of had their voice heard for the first time. There was a breakthrough with the Gezi Park protests because of the way people started openly talking about the problems they have with this government, and and which continued on to all the sort of the corruption scandals and all of that, what happened in the recent months here. And I think everybody, the interesting part of this is now everybody is talking about it, regardless of the fact that we still have a majoritarian government that continues to ignore what we're saying. That's fine, but I think it was the minority becoming vocal for the first time, and that was very important. And that's always a very good point in any functioning democracy.
I follow every day the situation in Turkey on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on. And of course, every weekend I was in Taksim for party.
It wasn't about just a park. It was more about, I guess, dignity. I would call it dignity because of the leadership style, authoritarian leadership style of Erdogan. People were upset.
First was the Kurds. They have been under government suppression for a long time, so I think they were one of the more distinct groups. And there is also the White Turks, as we call them in Turkey, which is basically us, who have like corporate jobs and stuff, who go to nice universities from middle-class families. We were there, and sorry, ma. Hello? I usually found these things stupid because they never changed anything. And I didn't go there to actually change something, but I got so pissed that they tried to burn the tents of some tree-hugging hippies, like 20 of them, and that's something you just can't do. That's why I just rushed.
I went home and turned on the TV because I was expecting to see something on the TV about what's happening in the center of this biggest city in Turkey. And it was like incredible. That moment I really totally lost it. They were just showing morning programs as in usual format. Nobody mentions about Taksim Square. And like we tried to make a connection with with our friends who were carried to the hospitals, but we weren't on news. That's when I really got fed up.
That was another big gain of the Gezi Park movement as well. That that a lot of people whom they thought were all by themselves actually started developing empathy towards one another and say we are all in this together. And that sort of the solidarity among strangers, if you will, was very, very important. And I think that every time this happened, then people would then go out and just in support of or in critique or protesting what the government has been doing. What you're seeing in these major cities is that there is a sort of a growing urban discontent. And that is, again, a minority, but is not getting the kind of sort of attention or the kind of voice that they need. And it did spread, and especially during Gezi Park. This was quite magnificent. There was something in Berlin. There were sort of Sydney. I was seeing all this sort of Sydney, Australia had groups coming out and protesting in favor of. That was a sort of a transnational element to the whole thing as well, which was fantastic.
I was witness to that a couple of times. Police throws tear gas, and then, of course, protesters try to protect themselves, and then that's an excuse for further violence from the police side. So I would call the violence in the Gezi protest as sort of riot, police riot. I mean, it's police violence, true and true.
The first time I was hit by gas, I couldn't see, I couldn't breathe, I was really scared. And after like 15 minutes, something just snapped in me. And I went berserk.
And at that point, I knew tear gas was not killing me. Water cannons, like, I got resistance. I think there's that kind of a barrier, like a borderline of fear. I just crossed that line.
Last August, I meet with some friends in Taksim, and we wanted to get a drink in Taksim, but as we saw the police there, we choose not to go at the main street. And after a while, the protesters came to our street, and they ran away from the police. And then they thought they will be safe into the bars. And a lot of these protesters came maybe in our bars and in another bars and so on. And after a while, the police came to our bar and said, "You can go, you come with us, you can go, you come with us." And there was no system into it. So I was one of the people they choose to come with them. And yeah, that's... They take all the things from us, like mobile phone and watches and so on, and then they put us downstairs to the jail or prison. I was in a 9-person room. I think it was not for 9 person, but they put 9 person in one room. Yeah, the food was okay, but they didn't leave us to the toilet. So the main problem for us was not to drink so much, because they leave us 1 time per day to the toilet, and that was the big problem.
I went there and I started filming what was going on. Then at one point the clashes started, and I videographed a few of the clashes. Then when I got back home, I was learning montage. I was new to montage, so I said to myself, how about editing this and see what it could be turned into. So I montaged it and then I uploaded it online to my YouTube channel.
Getting used to the street politics, which I think is a big, again, another big aftermath of Gezi. I mean, I don't think people, I mean, we were always going out on streets in some ways, but not really believing in the fact that we will have some sort of voice. And then all of a sudden you have these kind of sort of very different issues that are coming up, and then people are indeed going back. And of course, the police going back with their own sort of gas again. So it almost became a sort of ritual now.
Women were incredible in this protest altogether. But I think women in Turkish movement, also within Turkey, inside the Kurdish movement, they always have, like, even if you take it all the way back to independence war, women of Turkey, no matter if they're Kurdish, Turkish, whatever, they're always in the front row.
partly a strategy of Erdogan to polarize the country, and he's very successful in that. And since he polarizes the country, no matter what he does, is accepted by his supporters as a legitimate thing to do. So I don't think we were very successful in changing changing pro-Erdogan supporters' mind.
Here's the other anomaly that I think Erdogan has created, and that is that he has created a sort of a bunch of media outlets, newspapers and television stations that basically preaches his word, right? I mean, he sort of broadcasts them. And then there are, and I believe because of that sort of socialization effect, there are people who never listens to any alternative channels, would always listen to his channels, right? So you have a group of people who have a sort of who's living on a parallel reality or a parallel package reality of the way that he's packaging reality. I mean, look at the corruption scandal. I mean, a bunch of, some people believe that there's genuine corruption, and then the other group apparently believes that this is all a fabrication that is designed, a conspiracy theory that is designed to bring him down.
Now there are so many tapes. I think the most unforgettable one was Prime Minister talking to his son about emptying their cashiers in the house. That 4 ministers' sons were under investigation, that he should be careful and he should call his sister and they should arrange something.
Erdogan didn't forbid Twitter and YouTube because of the Gezi movement. I think Erdogan forbid the Twitter and YouTube because of these tapes, which were leaked since December over YouTube, and then they shared it over Twitter.
You turned off Twitter, you turned off YouTube, but this is like a generation who is there to ready to write whatever they want.
All these tapes that has come out, that he's, sort of how he's sort of intervened into the content of the news, how he has intervened into call these news people up and said, how dare you bring up that kind of a news, or you should fire this person or hire this person or get this columnist. The fact that micromanagement of the news to this extent is brand new, and I think shows how paranoid and obsessive he is about sort of controlling his image and controlling his ability to repackage what is really going on. Under no circumstances a government should have survived that kind of a scandal and that degree of corruption and that degree of scandals, but he does.
I tried to hold this metal fence. 3 of us couldn't hold the thing up straight when we were being hit by the water cannon. Our feet was on the ground and we were just sliding on the ground, being hit by the water cannon. It's crazy. It can kill you. I know that someone was hit in the head with full force from like 2 meters. I think he was in a coma for a few days. And people, there are 8 casualties on the side of protesters, but there are a lot of unknown casualties, that people with permanent brain damage.
kind of frustration act, I think, from the police, because they also they work, I don't know, 46 hours without sleeping, don't eating very well, separated from their families. The government tell them that these people are terrorists. So there's a lot of frustration, and the police as well. And then, yeah, they use more force, actually.
Police never has actual reasons. We try to provoke them, obviously. Like, I said a lot of shit, but they're the police. They are supposed to be calm.
In some cafes, many of the people who are protesting, but not in a very passionate way, but they support this protest. When like things get bad or like ugly, they hide or like protect themselves inside cafes. So like you see a lot of people inside the cafe taking photos from like inside of the protest or the clashes happening outside, and you reactions varies between smiles, between people asking what's happening for the foreigners, because like Istanbul is a you know, like is a mega city. It's not just like Turkish people, it's filled with people from everywhere.
This is my friend's gas mask. Just wait. But it looks cool. It's a Halloween costume. Yeah, it is real. I ordered one. I ordered another gas mask, which I might use because it looks seriously intimidating. The one that were being used by the Ukrainian riot police, it's white and it has like weird lenses. I ordered one of those. It still hasn't came in, but I might wear that because if there's an actual like, if there are fights between the protesters and the police, intimidation can be a huge factor. It also has a voice amplifier so that you can shout.
He was a 15-year-old kid who was going out to buy bread on that day in Gezi Park and got shot and has been in coma for about 260 some days and went down to 16 kilos at some point.
There were like hundreds of thousands of people waiting in silence. And silence with no shouting, no slogans, is so powerful.
Erdogan wasn't moved by it. When people were frustrated with the fact that he just didn't, even at that level of death, like how more dramatic could this possibly get? The kid lost his life, right? Even at that moment of death and sharing the agony of death, he just didn't move close. I mean, I think people would have just said, oh, okay, the prime minister finally said sorry. And the prime minister said, you know, sort of, başın sağ olsun, right? I mean, that simple word would have basically, I think, changed the entire atmosphere. But I think the whole violence afterwards was a reflection of that frustration itself.
Erdogan will never resign. He will not do that. There's no option. He will not resign. I also don't think that the protest will stop.
Protests will ever stop because this is an awakening.
The protests are very much objectified in one person. And that's also why the protest sentiment is so strong. I mean, if you have a certain person whom you can direct your anger, it's easier to go out in the streets. So as long as Erdogan is there will be protests, I guess.
The fact that he has won the election doesn't seem to have changed his sense of revenge. I don't think Erdogan is anyway far from his desire to re-engineer the society. And he's going to do that but through silencing every single opposition that he sees fit. And so it's going to be a tough couple of months ahead.